Good morning, grade 8s. Okay, so we are entering the last 5 weeks of school, and at this time, if this were a perfectly normal year, the grade 6s and the grade 3s would be writing their EQAO, which means that they would already need to know everything for the school year in order to be able to do their final EQAO stuff. So I always plan my teaching in the exact same fashion, and I plan to always have taught everything by this time. And then the last 5 weeks are always kind of a review of everything that we've gone through. So we're right on schedule. Nothing has changed. I've been working you guys hard since September, and we've got through pretty much all of the curriculum. And now for these last 5 weeks, what I really want to do is I want to leave you with having everything that's really important be fresh in your mind. Okay, and that way it's freshest for when you get to grade 9. So we are going to start this week with enumeration, and I'm just going to go through the curriculum document. I'm going to find what I think is going to be the most important stuff, and we are going to review that. So today what we're going to be reviewing is the order of operations. This is one that you're going to be using off and on through high school. So being able to follow the steps properly, being able to work down the page in the correct order, being able to show the math that you haven't yet done, as well as show what you're doing in each line. These are all really important math concepts that you need to be able to have to do not just order of operations with, but any math that you're doing, that you're working down the page on. So we're going to review this today. And in doing so, we are also reviewing exponents, keeping in mind that exponents are multiplication by itself. So if it's 4 to the exponent 3, it is not 4 times 3. It is 4 multiplied by 4 3 times, because the exponent is telling you 3. So you have to do the base, which would be 4. So it's a big 4, little 3. Basis of 4, you would go 4 times 4 times 4. You do it 3 times because of that exponent, okay? So keeping those things in mind, we are going to be practicing those things today. I, of course, will do the homework, and I will post for you. Before I flip and talk to you guys about these exponents, I just really wanted to have a moment to talk to you guys about the math journals I left with on Friday. So on Friday, I asked you to do a math journal on the Cartesian coordinate plane system, and not everybody has posted their final math problem work on that. Maybe it'll be there when I check again tomorrow, hoping. Only 2 people so far have posted. I will be going in and individually giving comments for that one, okay? So you can expect those comments to be in there at some point soon. If you are stuck and you don't know how to do this problem, send me a little note and I will coach you through it, okay? I am curious to see what you can come up with on your own, because if you think about this one and you follow the instructions, I think you'll be able to get it on your own. All right? Anyhow, I'm going to flip over the screen and we're going to talk a little bit about BEDMAS. All right, here we go. Okay, so I have a question here which is involving BEDMAS, and there's the two ones that we have to worry about here the most are going to be brackets and exponents. So when I'm looking at the brackets, I'm seeing this squared off bracket matching up to this squared off bracket. And then I'm seeing this curved bracket matching up with that curved bracket. So there's 2 sets of brackets in here. When you are looking at 2 sets of brackets, you always have to start with the inner brackets first, okay? So I have to do this piece of math and everything that's inside of this little inner bracket before I tackle my outer bracket. And then I have exponents here, but see this exponent 2, which is on the outside of that bracket? And everything else in the problem is on the inside of the bracket, which means that exponent is actually going to happen at the very end, okay? Because it's the furthest thing on the outside of my work here. So just really quickly here, we got brackets, exponents, division, multiplication, adding, and then subtracting. These ones appear, you do whichever comes first on your line, starting from the left to the right, and these ones you do whichever comes first, starting on your line left to right. Okay, so we're going to start with this problem here. I'm going to line up my equal sign down the left side of my page there. I have to copy every single thing out in this problem that I'm not dealing with, Okay, so I'm gonna do my open bracket here. I'm gonna copy out my 2, I'm not ready to deal with that yet. Copy out my plus sign, I'm not ready to deal with that yet. I'm gonna copy out my bracket here like this. Copy out my big bracket there, copy out my 2. All of that I'm not ready to deal with yet. When I look inside here, I'm not ready to deal with that 1 plus yet. The first thing I have to do is the exponent that's within this. So it's 3 to the exponent 2. And when I think about 3 to the exponent 2, I am in my head going 3 multiplied by itself 2 times. So it's going to be 3 times 3. That's going to give me an answer of 9. So I've got a 9 in there. And that is my first line of math finished now. So again, I line up my equal sign. I'm going to have my open bracket. I'm not ready to deal with my 2 yet. I got to copy it out. I got to copy out my plus sign. I'm not ready to deal with that yet either. Here I have this bracket. This is what I'm dealing with right now. 1 plus 9 is going to give me 10. That bracket is now finished. I now have my closed bracket and I have my exponent 2 on the outside. Okay, so the next thing I'm doing is I'm doing the inside of the bracket. Okay, this is my squared off bracket. I've got to do what's inside of here next. And it's 2 plus 10. That's going to give me 12. And now the inside work of that bracket is finished. And I have my exponent here still left to do. So I'm going to go 12 times 12 because it's 12 times itself, only the 2 times. 12 times 12 is 144. And this question is now finished. Okay? So in order to get full marks on any kind of BEDMAS question, you have to have everything written out. You can't have just left random numbers out that you don't want to deal with at the moment and then bring them back later on. Everything has to appear in every single line of this math. And it really, really is very systematic, working down the page one step at a time. If you were to be doing this question for homework and then comparing your question of homework with what I have, it should be virtually identical. Okay, there is no wiggle room here for fun and, doing things your own way. No, it has to be just the one way. It's the only way that's right. Okay, so here's a second question with even more brackets and even more exponents. Okay, I also have this thing right here. This is a square root. Okay, it's the opposite of doing a squaring. And it is part of the exponents. You would do it as part of an exponent. Okay, so here we go. The first thing I have to do according to BEDMAS is the B, which is brackets. So I have to deal with what's inside of this bracket first. Everything else just gets copied. So I'm going to do my big square bracket. I have, I'm going to just leave this empty here for right now. I'm going to copy everything else out because nothing else is changing. All of this stays the same. 3 to the exponent 4, close the bracket, do the square sign. Okay, so within here, I have a subtraction, which I can't deal with yet. I have to deal with my 8 squared first. 8 squared is my first thing that I'm doing on this line of math. So 8 squared is going to be 8 multiplied by 8. 8 times 8 is 64. So I'm going to go 64, and then I'm copying out that 59. Okay, and everything else is copied and identical on the second line of math. All right, so then for my third line of math, again, my equal sign is lined up. I'm going to be doing this math here. So 64 subtract 59, how much is that? Well, I'm going to count that out in my head here, mental math. The answer is 5. And that exponent 3 is going to appear there. I have my plus sign. I have my square root sign over here. I've got the 115 plus 3 to the exponent 4. I've got my closed bracket and my squared sign here. Okay, so my next line of math, I've got my 5 to the exponent 3. That is 5 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 5. Okay, so 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. So I've got an open bracket, I've got 125, which is the result from my 5 to the exponent 3, and then I'm going to copy everything else out again. And I have to be really careful that I copy everything out properly, because if you copy something wrong and it starts off one way here and then it ends up some different way down here, that's where you're going to have errors. Okay, so this square root sign is over top of everything underneath it, which means I have to do the stuff that's underneath it first. Once I have one number here, then I can find out the square root of that one number. Okay, so again, I'm going to open my bracket. I've got my 125 plus, and now I have to do what's underneath the square root sign next. So the 115 plus, I can't deal with that yet. I have to deal with this 3 to the exponent 4, which is 3 multiplied by 3, multiplied by 3, multiplied by 3. Okay, so 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3, you know what, let me get out a calculator here. Let me just type in my little code. Okay, so 3 multiplied by 3, that's going to give me 2. This is my third time. This is my fourth time. I hit the equal sign and I have 81 here. Okay, and then I'm going to close my bracket, square sign. Okay, so the next line of math, I've got the 125 here still. I'm not ready to deal with that yet. Okay, I've got to go 115 plus 81. That's my next bit. So it's plus 115 is going to give me 196. Okay, so now I have to deal with this one next. This is the square root. It still counts as exponents. So I've got my 115 copied out. Now I'm going to go the square root of this. When I'm looking at my keys here, I don't have a square root button. But if I turn the whole thing sideways, will it go? If I turn it this way, maybe it will. Oh, come on, thing. You worked when I turned you sideways before. Let me try this again. Ugh. Oh, I was on a roll and now it's not working. Oh, that's irritating. Okay, guys, I'm going to hit the pause button on this and I'm going to try again when I get this figured out. And we're back. All right, I managed to get my keyboard turned sideways. Technical difficulties. All right, so when I'm looking at this one here, hopefully you guys can kind of see it. It might not be bright enough. There is a little square root button here. It has this 2 and then that same kind of picture with the X underneath it. That's the button we need. So we're going to type in the 196 first, and then we're going to hit that little square root button, and the answer to that is 14. Now, just to verify that, if I go 14 multiplied by 14, what do I get? I get 196, okay? So that's how I know I'm correct. All right, so that is going to be squared there. So now I'm going to go 115 plus 14 is going to give me 129. And this number has to become squared. So I'm going to go 129 multiplied by 129. And the equals, wow, this is a big answer, 16,641. And that is going to be the final answer of this question. Okay? Certainly not something you can do in your head. If you're going to get to that right answer, you have to follow it step by step, one step at a time. Okay, so I hope that this makes sense to you. You don't have anything in your homework that's more difficult than this one. Okay? Good luck, and I will post those answers up for you for tomorrow. Okay? Have a great day, everybody.